Hey everybody, welcome back to another review. Today I'm showing you an in-depth review of the Shark 3-in-1 mop, which I've got here. Now I purchased this off a second-hand area on Amazon Marketplace, so I didn't have to pay full price for it. Currently it is $149.99 on Amazon. And would I pay full price for this? Not at all. And I'm gonna go through those reasons as well. So this claims to be a 3-in-1 mop, and the description it says on Amazon, it says no need to sweep the floors. Your Shark steam pickup will pick up the debris on the floors. It's got chemical-free cleaning with a 99.9% of steam will kill the bacteria. So it uses steam to clear everything. You don't have to put any cleaning solutions in this, but again, I'll talk about that. It's tough and gentle to tackle most stains and problems. It's got 2 brush rollers that are included in it, which I'll show you again in a bit more detail. So it's this idea of being a 3-in-1. So you're kind of picking up debris, you're steaming and you're cleaning at the same time. So let's get into this in a bit more detail. So here's what the actual mop looks like. It is very, very thin. What I like is that it takes up a very small footprint. As you see my hand here, it's a very, very small unit and it easily fits under my understairs cupboard, which is great. You've got a brush roller that's included with it, and you get a spare brush roller as well on this little base unit that you can easily pick this up. This hardly weighs anything. It's very, very light. I'd say that it probably weighs about 6-7 kilograms, if that. But once you fill this up, obviously it's slightly heavier. You've got one button on here, which is this button here. So when you press that and hold it down, it's got 3 levels: low steam, medium steam, and high steam. And then you've got this little section here that pulls out, which allows you to unscrew that, put some water in, and it literally clips back in. And then what you've got here is these 2 little sections here that squeeze together. When you press and squeeze them, this lid comes off, and that then exposes 2 things. You've got the roller, which comes out like so. If I can just get this out again with one hand. Lifts up like so, and then you can kind of pull that out, and then you can clean that, wash it, rinse it, and put it back. And this is actually where all the steam comes out, so you're gonna be very, very careful once this has been on. Let it cool down before you start playing around with this, and this all clips back together again. And then what you've got is, put that back in. And then what you've got here is a collection tray. So if you just grab this, it literally pulls out, dead simple. And you've got these 2 clips that clip out. And what happens is the water and debris that it mentions that it picks up is supposed to go into these little sections like so. And then what I normally do is, once I've finished cleaning, let it cool down, I grab both these things and I stick them in some bleach and water and let it soak so that they're nice and clean. So I go ahead and get rid of all the bacteria and dirt off the steamroller itself. So these clip back and it easily just drops back in, okay? So in principle, this looks like a great idea. And again, I'll talk a bit more about that. So very, very simple. You've got a very long lead here as well. It's a huge cable. I haven't had to unplug this and plug it in anywhere else. It's easy to cover all my floors. So yeah, overall, it's a nice design, nice and small and nice and simple. Okay, so I've just plugged this in and I want to show you what happens. These 3 lights start to glow and it's ready for you to then press this button to activate the steaming. Now effectively what happens is, when you have it in the first mode, it kind of squirts a bit of steam and then stops, and squirts a bit of steam and stops. And then the second mode, it does the same thing but pulses a lot quicker. And the third option, the steam is more continuous. It isn't increasing the power of the steam, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind. It's not making it steam more, it's just steaming more frequently. So that's the first thing that I was slightly disappointed with. I thought the steam would get more powerful, but it doesn't. It's just the level of how much it steams at a time. Now, I'm just gonna show you this on a patch of floor. You can probably see some stains there that have just been under the fridge freezer because I had to do some de-icing. So it's made some water stains, and there's some couple of marks here just from general dragging and using cat litter and all that sort of stuff. So I thought it's quite a nice little area where you can see there's some marks. And let me just show you what will happen when I switch this on. So I've got some water in here at the moment, and I'm just gonna switch it on level 1. And then you'll see very, very quickly these lights are activated at the front. So it's got these little lights at the front. And what will happen is, as this heats up, if I take this off, when I actually tilt this, it's going to activate the roller. This is going to start spinning, okay? And then the steam should activate very, very quickly as well. So if I just do that now, tip it back, you can hear the motor kicking in, and hopefully you can now see steam coming out very, very quickly straight away. So I'm just going to run that over, start running that over this area here. And I'm going over this several times, you can see that as this spins. So it gets in the corners nice and easy. And you can see there's some white marks, so I'm just going to go over that. And you see, as soon as I tip it back, the steam still is coming out of the machine, okay, but it stops spinning. So now, if I just press this button, it'll go into the second version, third version, which is, again, it's just going to keep the steam coming out, but it's not increasing the steam. And if I leave it now, hopefully it should start to stop because it's recognised that the machine is tipped forwards and the steam will stop. So as soon as you tip it forwards, it will stop steaming, and as soon as you move it back, the steam should come out. But to stop it fully from steaming, you have to unplug it, otherwise the steam carries on coming out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this to dry for a moment and show you what the results look like. So I just wanted to show you, this is 10 minutes later. The ground has started to dry, but as you can see, the original marks, which were just watermarks, that's all they were, it was just ice that fell and created watermarks, has not been cleaned up. Okay, and you saw how many times I went over that section with the roller. I gave it a fair number of goes with the steam and it hasn't cleaned it up. And that leads on to the main problem with this steamer, is that you can run the steam over an area with a dirt mark on it and it won't pick it up, no matter how many times you go on it. And what all that happens is more steam comes out, which wets the floor, and you end up with a wetter floor with wet patches. And those wet patches dry, which form watermarks. So it's actually not solving the original problem of being a mop, because a mop is that you mop the area and it helps to dry the floor, and then eventually when it dries out, you've got no watermarks. But this thing leaves patches of water all over the place. And one of the reasons I didn't show you the second or third level of steaming, because this is on the first level. If you imagine more steam coming out and even more saturation of your floor, it makes the problem 10 times worse. So actually having more steam come out doesn't make it clean any better, it just makes the floor wetter. And that is a big issue with these rollers, is that they're simply just spinning against the floor. They're not really cleaning the floor, they're just adding water to the floor and using that steam to kind of disinfect your floor. But this is the problem with it, is that I have to often use spray cleaner down first before I go ahead and use this mop, because the mop is simply not good enough at picking up some of the marks. And you can see here, I know this is against the corner of the wall, but it didn't pick that up. And it hasn't picked up some of the certain marks. But I'll give us another 10 minutes and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is now 35 minutes later, and as you can see, there are plenty of watermarks all around, even more so now than they were before, because the patches of water are dried, and you can see the circles around where the water is dried into the terracotta tiles. And yeah, there's still patches that have got water in them because they're not dried yet, but you can see all the way around them, there are these watermarks everywhere. And that is the biggest problem for me on these tiles. Now, other people might have different results, especially if you're using something like that on a floor like that, you probably wouldn't see it. But on my floor, I can see all these watermarks, and it just makes the floor look really, really messy. And this is the downside to a steam mop. So just wanted to make you aware of that. I'm not going to wait any longer because these things are going to take forever to dry. But that's 35 minutes. Now, if I'd used level 3, you can imagine there'd be even more water and this will take even longer to dry. Little mark I've got near my bin where there's been some sort of spill, and you can see that up close. It's kind of a sticky little mark which you think will be ideal for steam. Well, let me show you what that looks like when I go with the steamer. So I've got this on level 1. I'm just going to move over it several times and show you what happens. Now I'm going over this a number of times, just so you can see I'm being fair. I don't want to wet the floor too much, so I'll just switch that off. But what you can see is it hasn't got rid of the mark, okay? The mark is still there, okay? Now it's a bit shiny, so it's hard to see, but what I will do now is I add some cleaning solution to try and remove that. So I just use some kind of Blue Magic and I spray the area a couple of times. There's a patch there as well, you can see that, okay? And then I run it over again one more time. Now at this point, this floor is very, very wet, so it's going to take even longer to dry. But even so, you can still see that mark is still there. And the other one has come up a little bit better, but it's still there. So I'm going to have to now manually scrub this by hand because the steamer is simply not picking it up. So hopefully I've given you enough information to see exactly how the thing works and the way that it cleans your floors. And from my point of view, I was really disappointed with this unit. Number one, it doesn't really clean your floors in the way that you expect from a mop, because what's happening is you're using steam to clean the floor and that spinning head is just spinning and it's spinning against the floor. It's not really kind of mopping, because what's happening is as the steam comes out, it's just running that against the floor, and some of that water is going into the container, but most of it remains on your floor. And as a result of that, you get patches and watermarks all over your floor, which can get really annoying, especially on my floor because I've got dark tiles. You just see wet patches everywhere and the water dries in those wet patches. So it's not really mopping in the conventional sense that you can remove all those watermarks. Second problem is that the pickup that it mentions, that it's, you know, you don't have to pick up the debris, that's absolute rubbish. If you don't vacuum your floor before you use this, you'll end up with a complete mushy mess inside that container, which is a bit of a pain to clean, but also it doesn't pick everything up. Because it's not a vacuum, it is just simply spinning to pick things up. It doesn't pick up all the debris. So you have to vacuum before you use this mop. And that's what I normally do, just vacuum first, as you normally would do. So that means that the actual pickup process itself that this claims to have 3-in-1 is completely irrelevant, because it's not. It's just a steamer. And that leads on to the third point really, is that is what this is. It's a bacterial cleaning thing. It steams your floors with a bit of cleaning. Most of the time you have to use a cleaning solution to clear the harder stains on the floor, and you have to do manual scrubbing. And then after that, if you don't like the wet watermarks, you also have to wipe those up as well with a paper towel or something else. So it's not ideal, it isn't a brilliant device, and I certainly wouldn't pay £149 for it. I'd get it if I had it heavily discounted like I did. I actually picked this up for £50 because it came without the box, without all the things, which is fine for me. But I'm glad I didn't pay full price, because I think I would have been really, really disappointed. And that leads on to a fourth point really, is that I've been disappointed with what Shark has been producing recently. My last vacuum cleaner, which I did a review on, which is the Shark XL, it is nowhere near built as well as my previous model. It feels lightweight, the plastics feel cheap. I think Shark are going down a route where they're not as good as they used to be. And I've been very, very disappointed with the products they're bringing out. And calling that 3-in-1 is completely pointless. It isn't a 3-in-1 machine at all. It's simply a steamer with some pickup capabilities. But if you're after something like this, that as you can see what it does, it might suit your needs. If you're not bothered about the watermarks, it is going to clean your floor in the sense that it will be bacterial free. But as I said, the cleaning the roller and cleaning everything else and all the other things that come with it, I wouldn't say it's worth the money. So with that in mind, if you found this video useful, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll catch you on the next video.